Today we're going to be reading out the behind-the-scenes information related to classic Doctor Who serial, The Krotons. Classic Doctor Who as in 63 to 89, not implying that this serial is a major classic. It may be the weakest of the Troughton era, frankly, and there's not all that much story notes to read out here, so we'll just have to think of something else to do in episodes 3 and 4, won't we? Episode 4 will just discuss how the serial works overall, although, man, what are we going to do with episode 3? I'll have to think of something. A preliminary outline for the story, then entitled The Trap, was submitted for Season 2. It was rejected because the robots were deemed too similar to the mechanoids, then set to feature in The Chase. That's his first Doctor era, of course. 3 years later, Holmes resubmitted the outline as The Space Trap to a new, more receptive production team. The script, under the name The Space Trap, without hyphen, is here. Yeah, earlier The Space Trap I read out, that's... You don't feel the need to read out the hyphen, you understand. It doesn't seem relevant, but obviously it was actually commissioned for delivery in 1969, probably for the penultimate story of Season 6. Wow, that would have been disappointing. However, because Holmes had completed the scripts early, the story went into production in late 1968 when a Dick Sharples story, Prison in Space, fell by the wayside. I like how they say Dick Sharples story, like we know who Dick Sharples is. I'm just looking at his article here on the TARDIS data core, and he didn't do that much. That's literally all his involvement of Doctor Who is this rejected script. They just write, when a writer named Prison in Space, they should have written in 1968 when a story named Prison in Space, titled Prison in Space by a writer named Dick Sharples, fell by the wayside. But they just wrote when a Dick Sharples story, Prison in Space, as though he's just as important as Robert Holmes or something. That's hilarious to me. Whatever. Episode 1 exists as a 35mm black and white film negative, while the others exist as 16mm film negatives. As of today, the story has the most title drops of any Doctor Who story at age 72, which is to say, the Krotons, or Krotons, is said many, many times in the story, 72 times exactly, as it says there, which is far more than any other Doctor Who story, apparently. I guess even in the modern series. Robert Labassiere, billed as playing one of the Krotons in the closing credits for episodes 2 to 4, was actually a pseudonym for Robert Grant, who had requested that he be credited under this name, both on screen and in the Radio Times program listings. This is the first collaboration between writer Robert Holmes and script editor Terence Dix. It was only Dix's second story in that capacity. In a neat bit of symmetry, Horror of Fang Rock was one of script editor Robert Holmes' last stories, written by Terence Dix. David Maloney called the story a disaster and felt it was his fault. Maybe. Well, it's more the premise. I don't know. Douglas Camfield couldn't have extracted much from this. While Fraser Hines didn't care for it either, calling it horrible, Terence Dix felt that it worked as a story but not as a monster, feeling the Krotons themselves are useless and non-threatening. Hey, we've made 3 minutes. Let's discuss the rest of this in episode 3. Thanks everyone. See you next time, if you're so inclined, of course.